Next question from Timorian. I have a question that may seem odd, but I've always wondered if Paul Heyman or any ECW talent had any encounters with the Philadelphia Mafia in the mid to late 90s. They were very active during this time.
Excellent question. It might just be ignorance is bliss, or my youth and being a clueless putz for real, not just on TV. We never saw anything like that. As a matter of fact, there's all these rumors about gambling and the finances and the money not being spent where it should have been or invested, that Paul was bad with money, that there was a Steve Carroll guy that was also kind of a weird dynamic with Paul. Steve Carroll, this guy that was basically there a lot. I think he was maybe somebody financially tied to Paul. He wasn't mafia from what I knew. He was a New York guy, I believe. So there's these people who used to come into the locker room and be around that I would say hello and goodbye to, that I had no idea who they were. Did I get a vibe like they weren't doing the, movie mafia boss thing where, coming in wearing a fur coat with everybody around them and everybody kissing the ring. But yeah, this is South Philadelphia. This is basically, ground zero for the mafia. So I'm sure if they weren't kind of somewhere hovering around the business end of ECW, there's probably a few of them just came to the show to enjoy it. But I have no idea. I know when you're talking about fire marshals and other people like that, there's always the commission was there for a short time in Pennsylvania. You have all these people trying to dip their hands into the cookie jar.
I like the idea of a commission going to ECW backstage. Like, these all look like a bunch of healthy individuals. Have a good night, fellas.
Yeah.
Like looking at Sandman comatose in the corner or something.
How do you feel? I feel good. Then you're ready to go, pal. And New York used to be like that at times too.
Okay, right. This begs a follow-up question because you mentioned someone called Steve Carroll. Not Steve Carell, the actor, I guess, because I sort of heard that when you first said it. In your opinion, how do you think, because there must have been some money misappropriation, because they were getting licenses from games, they were getting pay-per-view money. Yes, it was being paid months and months after the fact. And not that many ECW guys were making six figures at the time. Correct. I mean, someone like Nunzio, Little Guido, was making $0 because he was doing it for the love and he was getting stiffed like so many other people have said, like Tommy, Rob, Shane, everybody basically for the most part. What do you think Paul was spending the money on? Because I've heard rumours, like you alluded to, so like, there were gambling rumours that he may have lost money on, outside ventures. What do you think it was?
Yeah, I don't know. The only rumor I ever heard was the gambling rumor. That's all I've ever heard. But I know he and Steve Carroll were, basically Steve Carroll looked almost exactly like Paul, by the way. Same ponytail, like balding head, side hair right there. But Steve, it was just a lone goodbye. He either came across as a matter-of-fact businessman or just somebody that gave off a vibe that I just wanted to say a lone goodbye to, and that was it. But Paul and him, they would have conversation, and I was never near them, but this was a guy that obviously could be right by Paul during a TV taping, during other things, and communicate with Paul. That's all I know for sure. And of course, South Philadelphia, you got money coming in. Let's go back to when I was in the company in 95, 96, 97. T-shirt sales were off the chart. And Taz and everybody, Taz was in charge of designing those, but Dreamer had the stock of the T-shirts and I think was shipping them out from his parents' house. But we were selling tons of merch, tons of tickets to shows, and let's not forget VHS tapes of the fan cams, of the shows, all this stuff. There was a lot of income coming in, and then you had the pay-per-view, obviously, but the house show business, TV tapings, merchandise, and of course, DVD sales and stuff like that. And then we did some conventions, like the CyberSlam conventions and other things, where they did packages for groups to come from New York to Philly on the bus. There was money coming in, and we weren't paying for mainstream music licensing either or anything else. So I couldn't tell you. That's neither here nor there. And I'm not going to speculate, especially in 2025, when this dude's trying to sue Vince Russo for saying he's fat.
Here's another thing that of all the income coming in, the figures. They were like the original San Francisco toy company. I know you didn't get yours because they hadn't signed the deal at that point. But they were selling a lot. They were saying a lot of those things. And I'll tell you something else, and this is from Shane's lips. He never got a penny from those. No royalties from the figures whatsoever. Because I guess Paul either said something to the effect of, hey, you should just be happy you were picked, or... Basically, Paul just... I don't know if he told the company that he was paying the guys royalties, or he was telling the guys that this company doesn't pay royalties, or something like that. But Shane said he didn't get a penny from those figures, and they were generating in the 8 figures.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that Paul is so charming, or has all these people charmed, that after all that, and I use this example more than anything, after everything and all the money and Dreamer buying a ring truck and Paulie owing him money, the Dreamer's what kept the company running for a very long time. That's my opinion. After all that, to say, and the WrestleMania 17 thing with Dreamer and Paul, remember that? We did a clip about that. That you can still sit next to this guy and be around him and actually have a very civil conversation. I'm not saying you go at him and you do it, but so many people, I'm sure Shane would maybe be a little gracious, but there has to be a big part of Shane and everybody else is like, yeah, you got me, brother, but I'm never spending another half a second anywhere around you. You've already got me once. That's it. And that's our friendship or whatever is over.
I don't know, but it seems that so many people forgave him or are just so grateful. Even you said that you were grateful for what Paul did for you and almost willing to overlook.
No, not willing to overlook. I just wasn't, I wasn't a victim in the 5 and 6 figure range like Candido, Tommy, Shane, whoever else that he owed money to. I wasn't in that era. He couldn't bounce a check for me because I didn't make enough, to get a check bounced. So, yeah, I feel for the guys that worked for free all that time and then literally saw him one Monday night as he said he's trying to get the TV deal in LA. And that dude's just commentating on Raw and they're watching and saying, I guess the company's done. Am I off base with the timeline?
No, I think the last ECW show was maybe early January 2001. And then there was just nothing for nearly 3 months. Then he just happened to be... Was it on Raw or WrestleMania he debuted?
Raw. I believe the Raw after WrestleMania, possibly.
No, it would have been the one before because he was commentating WrestleMania.
Oh, that's right. WrestleMania 17 he commentated. Yeah.
There's one more thing that's always puzzled me, is the arenas. They could not have cost that much. He was not running major arenas. He was running, National Guard armories and bingo halls, most famously.
Lulu Temple, it's on a small building. It's a Greyhound track. You're not doing anything outside of Greyhound track. That's it. And it's a building within the track. Listen, we're in 2025. There's never going to be the exact mystery solved of how any of this stuff operated or didn't operate. The guys seem at peace with the fact some people ended up on a real downward trend from that, meaning Candido and other people. I'm sure that affected them a great deal. I don't want to be in debt to anybody. Can you imagine running up almost 6 figures in credit card debt that you're not going to get back? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what's done is done, and now everybody is looking at him like he's the uncle or the father figure that's going to help them with their career, which he's very creative. He knows what he's doing, but I wouldn't trust him with a dime.